trying to free your mind, Neo, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it. You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind.
This is the Mind is Mine podcast. What it do, ladies and gentlemen? It is episode 11, I believe so. My name is Houston Himes, your host. I have my duck here with me, and then I have a special guest as well, Mr. Cody Decker. How are you doing today, bro?
I'm doing pretty great today, man.
Make sure you speak into the mic, though. It's a little fuzzy if we don't speak into the mic. So
we're up on the mic like this.
We're up on the mic. We're getting up close and personal.
What's up, Mike?
What's good, Mike? But hey, man, I want to give you the floor just to jump into it. Introduce yourself. You know, what do you do? Why are you here? And so on and so forth.
Hell yeah. So my name's Cody Decker, like you said. And I'm getting started just transitioning into the health and wellness world altogether and mindfulness and all that stuff. So worked in hospitality for 16 years, one type of service. And that's great, right? We learn a lot of skills. We learn how to talk to a lot of people. But do I want to serve Diet Cokes and Chili Mac to people for my whole life?
No, I don't think so.
That's the answer. And so, but I can take all the skills I learned from that and transfer them to the new things I do, which is where I met you at, The Edge, personal training, which is a different kind of service, right?
For sure.
And then I do breathwork, contrast therapy, mindfulness, meditation, kids breathwork, all sorts of stuff.
Nice. Before we continue, just like right here. Yeah, it's right there. So, because if you go from like the top of the mic, then it sounds like a little weird.
Dun, 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 dun.
See?
Hey, it's got some bass.
See, I wouldn't lie to you. I'm just trying to make sure like you sound as clear as possible. And I mean, we should have done this beforehand, but it is what it is. Y'all gonna see the behind the scenes. But I appreciate that introduction, man. Meeting you through the gym was kind of exciting because there's an ongoing trend of me meeting people that I work with at the Edge that are very interesting people, whether it's Matt I had on here, I had Ray on here, and then I think you'll be the third. So it is interesting to notice that type of trend and how I've been attracting people that are like-minded, but also have some depth to them and have their own little things going on outside of the workplace at the gym. Just to touch on the gym, since we're already on the topic, what do you do at the gym, and how has working at a gym affected not only your personal endeavors, but your overall look and wellness and fitness?
So, yeah, it's been great meeting you too. It was nice and refreshing for sure. Just seeing like the eye that wards off evil the first day when you came in, and also how warm and welcoming you are to the guests is really nice. You can, whenever you tell them to have a great day, you mean it. Yeah. And there's a difference between saying have a great day and have a great fucking day, man. Yeah. There's a huge difference. For sure. Yeah, I think that's what drew me to your energy, was that you give your energy away, right?
In a loving way, of course.
Yeah, to build people up, not to deplete yourself, but to build both of you. And I appreciated that. Yeah. And so what I do there is I've just got my personal training certification in March. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, the NASM was hard as fuck, to be honest. We cuss on here? We do that?
I don't care. Go ahead.
I prefer
Express how you feel.
I do feel that way. It was hard, man. Like, I haven't studied that hard for something since high school, 12 years or so. And so it was really nice to like give my full effort to something, right? That's one of the main differences in personal training from restaurant is like, there's a menu, there's a drink menu. They sit down. What do you want? The bill's coming. You know the script. Yeah. But with personal training, you make the script. You make the program. You make the person. Everything's different. Every interaction takes 100% of you to do. And that's been filling me up, honestly, to like have to try 100% the whole time.
And like what we talked about earlier, like you never know who you're going to meet too.
And I've been meeting some fucking awesome people.
That's awesome.
I agree. Like I really enjoy one-on-one. I feel like sometimes in group settings, I'm quieter and more reserved because I'm watching everyone. But on one-on-one, I can dive in deep to who you are, you know? And I think that's what I value about the training as well, is like, I'm getting to know these people. Like they're people. They're not like, they're my client, but they're a whole ass person, you know?
Yeah.
And like for training, you have to address the whole person. There's, you know, you can't have them do a push-up and expect their whole life to change.
100%.
And so, yeah. So I'm out here to change lives, honestly. My own included.
As we should. So what is like the first thing that either you notice or that you would say to a client walking up? Because I know you are a genuine person and you're actually caring about the wellness and the health of the individual rather than looking at them as, oh, this is a payday. This is going to help me get paid. While, yes, that is true, that is not the importance of why you train and why you work with people. So what does that approach look like?
Yesterday, it looked like a woman came in and she was on the verge of tears. And she said, if I say anything to you right now, I'm going to start crying. And so I walked her into the back, into the in-body room, and just immediately gave her a hug and said nothing. And she cried a little bit. Case in point right there. We're humans. Something happened with her family. There was a death. There was traffic. There was stress at work, all at the same time.
Yeah.
And what I'm here to offer is me, right? I do have to sell. That's how I make money. That's how I eat.
Yeah.
But what I'm selling is me, not the gym.
That is, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, because I couldn't figure out how to be passionate about selling the edge. I just couldn't, you know? It's a for-profit company, and they tell you that, which helped me, honestly. Like, they're not shady.
It's a corporation.
Yeah, they weren't shady. They were like, we're here to make money, which I appreciated, the honesty.
Yeah.
And for me, yes, I'm here to make money, but I'm also here to grow and help others grow. And so I just have to marry those together. Like, the more value I can bring to someone's life, the more money I'm probably going to get with them. And that's an equal and equivalent exchange, you know?
100%.
So, yeah, for me, it's like when someone walks in and they're on the verge of tears, I'm going to give them a hug and set the clipboard down. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. And I see how not only are you selling yourself, but you're selling them a possibility of living a better life through wellness and health, which is the most valuable thing to humanity, is our health. Because we don't have any health, then how can we do anything else? And also you bring up a good point, because I'm working on a video right now outside of this podcast. It's called Becoming a Creator in the World of Consumerism and Capitalism. And if anything, you just really are an epiphany of putting yourself in the person that you're working with and their well-being, whatever that may look like. It doesn't just have to be health-wise first, rather than the money, the corporation, and any type of materialism. So having that type of approach, there comes a struggle. And what type of struggles have you been through? Because I know this is not the only thing that you do. I know that you have a wider range of other things going on outside of the gym, which I'm sure we'll touch on here soon. But what was kind of the biggest struggle of you finding your own path and creating your own path while in this world of consumerism and capitalism that wants you to be a brainwashed corporate worker in a way, if that makes sense?
So just clarifying, who am I in terms of like how to bring myself to the world in terms of like a capitalistic sense?
Yeah.
So I guess we'd have to go back. For me, when I grew up, it was hard to find a sense of self. I had to grow up real quick.
Yeah.
There's a series of circumstances to where I became the adult in the house very fast. Had to learn how to do laundry and cook breakfast. And like, my dad broke his neck when I was 8, so I had to clean his screws in his skull. So they have a halo vest, right?
Yeah.
For those who don't know, when you break your neck, you get a nice little turtle shell. And then you also get these 4 poles and a halo that stick up, and they screw bolts into your head so that you can't move your neck while it heals. And so part of my childhood was cooking him breakfast because he couldn't get up, doing the laundry, and like making sure that stayed sanitary. Right. It was really interesting.
Yeah. It's helping you be a leader at such a young age, I feel like.
And you don't know what to do when you're that young.
Right.
But now that we're up here and the question is about how am I integrating that now? Well, I didn't really get a sense of self or a proper childhood. And so what I realized is that like, I'm here to help, but how do I help and help me at the same time? Right. And so what that looks like is, how do I like to help? And what fills me up at the same time? Because for so long I was filled with bitterness and resentment towards so many people, family especially. And that's just no way to live. It's poison, man. And it was poison to me, you know, condescending, resentment, bitterness. If you just think about how those feel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, bro. Because you have this sense of regret and shame toward yourself. And like you brought up this topic of self versus perceived self. That perceived self and how you perceive yourself in that light really just doesn't add any weight to who you are. If anything, it takes away life. I literally just wrote in my journal today is like, continue to bring life not only to yourself but to everything around you, and you know there's certain cycles that continue to work in my mind, which is degrading and works against life, rather than bringing life to certain aspects of who I am and other people as well. And it's good to eliminate that, but don't just go straight to eliminating it without learning about it. So with you going through all that at such a young age as well, while it could have been hurtful and a sense of suffering, it was good that you got yourself out into the world and actually experienced things like that. So you know how to navigate that later on in life. You have a reference point.
Absolutely. And you bring up the self and perceived self in that situation, right? I think helping is the shit. Right.
Yeah.
That's the only way I know how. I'm bringing harmony to the home. I'm bringing harmony to my parents. I'm bringing harmony to my friends. I'm bringing harmony to the classroom. I'm bringing, you know, but I'm solving everyone else's needs. Right. And so fast forward 25 years, why do I feel empty and depleted? Because I'm not doing anything for me.
Yeah.
Right. And so now just kind of integrating, like, I do love to help. You know, that is a part of my actual self now. I've been doing it for so long. But how do I do it to where instead of being depleted, I'm being replenished? And, you know, the self versus perceived self, like, I was fucking drained and I was fucking toasted. But there was this like martyrdom, this like sweet self-sacrifice in everything. But that just leaves you empty at the end of the day. Unless you make the conscious choice to be like, what's going to fill me up and help the person? Or what's going to fill me up?
Yeah.
So it's been really nice to give back to people and have them give to me.
True. Keep that cycle going of giving and receiving. That's one thing where I kind of took away life from myself, was because I had this conversation with Dr. Julie Gary that works in the Department of Health, Public Health here in the city. I was very, very nervous during that interview yesterday, but you can definitely tell through my demeanor and how I was speaking. I was kind of saying the same things over and over again, but it was definitely a learning experience that I had to get through, and I enjoyed every second of it. But I was having that conversation with her, and what were you just talking about? I just lost my train of thought.
No, it's cool. And actually, it was making me think about how, like, I'm the one who's nervous. My intro had a lot of ums and ands and pauses, right? And it's fun, right? That's one of the reasons I agreed to do this, is because like it's outside of my comfort zone and it's new and it's fun and we get to know each other on a different level. You know, I've never heard myself echo live time in these. It's really interesting and mildly disorienting, but it's becoming more like fun and like romantic and like an adventurous sense as we go on.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we both lost it now.
Yeah, I know it was something about refilling my cup. And
so we can go
talking to
there.
her.
How do you refill your cup?
How do I refill my cup? Meditation, silence, being in nature, reading, writing especially. Like I, in the recent years, have fell in love with writing.
In what way?
Well, at first journaling, and also I love taking notes. That was just one of my favorite things from school, especially in certain classes that I love to be in, like history. I absolutely love history. And if you want to talk more about that, we can. But taking notes and journaling how I feel, because I feel that was very, very important, because one's learning about the world and different topics, and then journaling is learning about what's going on within you. And along my journey, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, trying to figure out who I am, that was when the biggest sense of support that I could ever have was just putting on the piece of paper so I can have it. So I'm looking straight at how I feel and what's going on within me right in front of me, rather than just constantly keeping it up in my mind. Now I'm shifting into storytelling, whether it's through music, art, whether if it's a film or just writing stories for books or whatever it may be. And that's a little more tricky, because in journaling, there's a lot more control. You know exactly what you're going to put down. Creativity, there's a lot more letting go.
And there's a private element of journal versus creativity, right?
Yes.
You don't have to show anyone your journal.
No.
But creativity, you can make it private, but I think what you're talking about is releasing things.
Yes. And that takes me back perfectly to what I wanted to say earlier, of refilling my cup and this journey of giving and receiving and being an empath. This is exactly what I wanted to talk about. Now it's coming back to me. The ability of being an empath to the point where I kind of denied myself of receiving. And that's essentially what creativity is, because I don't claim any type of ideas that come to me. I'm a strong believer and practitioner of the phrase that people don't have ideas, ideas have people. And ideas find you at the right point in time when you are the most capable to bring this idea onto the world and share it. And that's basically what creativity is. All these ideas are flowing through us, certainly just as vessels and as terminals, rather than us owning the idea. Well, yeah, we'll take credit of the idea when it manifests and materializes, but where that idea comes from, we can't fully fathom. And that is what's so difficult about creativity at sometimes, because you try to take control and take the mantle when a lot of that is just releasing and allowing yourself to just be and do what comes to mind, and then let the gaps fill in however they may.
And that's what you were saying is reminding me of a moment where I saw Wolfpack at Blueberry Hill, and I got to meet Theo Katzman afterwards. And we had VIP tickets, so we got to chat for a bit. And so I was like, what's an actual question that I could ask this guy? And I landed on, how do you navigate incessant compliments? Because he's a famous musician. You know, he has millions of followers. They're selling all these records. They're going on all these tours. They're selling out Madison Square Garden. So I'll never forget his answer. He was like, I make the music that I want to make, and what people think about it is none of my business. I make music that I like to make. That would be like me saying, I really like broccoli, and then you taking it personally. Like,
why you like broccoli? Broccoli is trash.
Right. Ugh. You know, stuff
something like that.
Yeah. And to where it's like, I make the music that I'm going to make, and the experience people have with it is not mine to take credit for.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to get out.
That was some of the like hardest learning lessons, because as an empath, you're wanting to please people. You're wanting to help people all the time. You're wanting to join in on other people's creativity and help with other people's creativity. But when it comes to you, and me in this case, I was very negligent towards helping myself, creating for myself, and nurturing myself. And that was part of my upbringing too, not having really the mother figure around, which is reminiscent of that nurturing, creative type of energy. But I mean, there was a lot more other things, not just that, but
yeah. And we were touching on that the other day, and that's actually something I was hoping to learn more about, and like how that like lives in you.
Yeah. That experience?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. And I had that conversation yesterday too. So if anything, it's just a reminder, because I'm getting into my own therapy as well.
And what does that look like for you?
Therapy? Honestly, I have no clue. This is it's a first for me. So
I like that.
But the reason why I went to get in therapy is not only to help myself, but so I'm in a better position to help others, so I can be in that position to do so. Because psychology, philosophy, spirituality, and faith is the main thing that I want to get into with creativity, because creativity follows with everything that you do. It's just, like I said, are you willing to allow that to come into your life and enhance your life, or are you neglecting it to the point where there's no creativity at all, and you're just doing the same things over and over again, and you perceive yourself as this corporate worker, or just going day to day doing the same things over and over again with no creativity at all. Creativity is what spices life. It brings new life to every single day that you live.
It does. And there's also such a element of fear and bravery, right?
Yes.
You can't be brave without fear.
Right.
But creativity is so vulnerable because it's yours. You did it, and now it's out in the world to be judged, right? And that's up, just like we were saying about Theo Katzman, like it's not his business what you think about it, but actually getting there is unbelievably tough.
Yes.
Like, we're social creatures. We are wired to care what people think. Like, people who say, oh, just don't care about it. It's like, sure. But like, biologically, physiologically, psychologically, we're fucking wired to care.
Yeah.
We do care.
There's a lot of things that we care about in this world, and some of us try to cover that and neglect it. And that's one thing I've learned about myself, is that the creativity itself is something that I neglected, because part of the upbringing of being in school, I was a very, very creative kid, like growing up.
And
like,
what were the outlets?
What was that?
What were the outlets?
At first, it was mostly drawing. I mean, being an athlete too, any type of games that were going on outside, like I really wanted to be a part of that. So creating through movement was probably my most significant thing in my upbringing, because playing baseball and basketball for most of my life, that was my creative outlet, and also my safe haven for me to be creative, but also with a sense of competition as well. I didn't really get that in drawing, and I love to be competitive. Like, I'm a very competitive person. So I kind of drifted away from drawing at first and writing a little bit, even though I was a very trash writer and reader growing up. Like, I'm very, very happy where I'm at writing wise. And that was kind of like a success story right there, because I hated writing. I hated it. But also that was part of me being judged for it, because any type of creative writing that I would do is not on my own time. It was in school. So kind of was neglecting my creativity, because a lot of that creative work that I was doing, whether it was in art class, English class, I would get graded for it. In creativity, you can't really grade for real. It's an opinionated thing. Some people like what you do, some people don't. And then there's the people that don't care either way, that just let you be who you are. And I focused a lot on what people thought of my creativity, which led to the negligence of creativity within myself, because being an empath, I cared so much what other people thought of me and what I do, to the point where I was able to neglect that. And then I went into this period of just playing baseball and basketball, which I loved. And then that started to, that mindset started to interfere with baseball and basketball as well, where it was like I'm looking over my shoulder every play, or everything I do something wrong or right, I'm looking for that acceptance. I'm looking for who's in the crowd, whether it's my dad, whether it's family, friends, girlfriends, or girls in general. You know, you want to please people. But for so long of pleasing people, I realized that has been the main source of negligence towards my creative process.
And by negligence, what are you neglecting when you bring that up?
Even trying.
Just avoiding in general.
Yeah, just avoiding in general, because it was like you said, bravery and fear are one of the same.
They're the exact same thing.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other. I was more focused on the fear aspect than the bravery aspect. And I think it was starting when, I guess it was sophomore year in high school. That's when I started to really let that fear come in, because before that I was brave. Like, I didn't care. Like, I was doing very, very well in baseball. I didn't really care about my creativity. I talked about whatever, nerd out over all the things that I like. And then when I started getting into the world a little more and want to be friends with a lot of people, because I grew up with autism as well, which I still have it, but it doesn't really affect me as much. It was a lower tier. That was something that was placed upon me to a point where a lot of people would neglect being friends with me because I'm different, which, looking back on it now, it's like, I don't care. I'm very, very open about it now. And if anything, it's more of a gift than a curse. But I treated it as a curse back then, to the point where everything that came with that existentiatory experiences and abilities that I had that went into my creativity, I neglected, because now I want to be one with the crowd rather than an individual working with the crowd. I'm working for the crowd, not with the crowd.
And there was a chapter where I played music, and one of my things was, mantras would be the word for thing. One of my mantras was, I'd rather be the worst person on stage than the best one in the crowd.
That's hard. I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah. And
Quote him. Which one's the applause?
plausible.
No, not that one. Not that one. Yeah, there we go. Nice. The yellow one is the claps.
We
Don't
like
make
learning.
me forget.
We like learning.
Yes.
Fuck yeah. That's sick. I love that.
Yeah, bro. I love this thing. This is, well, technically yesterday, but this is the first podcast that I've done for like a month and a half, because I've been so busy. Haven't really found the time. And also kind of went through a dry spell, which we all go through, but it's all right. I learned. I learned my lesson.
And it's fun. You just learned right there, you know?
Yeah. I just learned that the yellow one. Yep. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Houston's a learner, my friends.
Yes. I am a very studious human being.
Yeah. And, you know, speaking of autism, my little brother has autism. And so.
Twin.
Fuck yeah. Y'all go hard. But he fucking what I learned from him is like, he, I guess, is further on the spectrum than you, but is still like higher functioning. And so he doesn't lie at all. Like, he doesn't know how to lie, and he also cares a lot. So you know how sometimes people do this thing where they're like, oh, I might come.
Yeah.
But it's a no.
Yeah. He'll just tell you no.
Well, yeah, but when you tell him that, that's a yes to him. It's like, oh, I'll probably come. And he's like banking on it, and he'll call you and be like, you didn't come when you said you would.
That I used to be that way.
Yeah.
I used to be that way. I used to call people how I'm like, hey, you didn't do this. Like, what's going on, bro? And then I learned how to lie. And
dude, there's like this mild gaslighting that most of society does. Yes. Where it's like, we have this language that means a different thing. And it's called high context versus low context. So like,
go deeper into that.
Sometimes I think it's in Japanese culture to where they'll be like, I'll do everything I can, but that means no. Right.
Okay.
And sometimes and with us, we're in this thing to where it's like, we have to explicitly say that we are not coming for that to happen, which means it's a low context culture because we're being extremely direct and explicit. But a high context culture, you need more context to understand what they're saying because some things are implied, hidden in the message. Mm-hmm. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. So how and where did you learn like this?
I took a course called cultural communication, intercultural communication, something like that. And we learned about high context, low context. I might be getting them mixed up, but the principle holds true in some way or another, whether the words I said are mixed up.
Yeah.
Right. And there are cultures that find it incredibly rude to say no. So they say things like, I'll do my best, or I'm working on it. But for us, it's like, oh, you're working on it. When's it going to be done? And they're like, that's not important. I'm working on it.
Yeah, we do kind of have this sense of entitlement too. That's why I get from that.
And extreme urgency.
Yes. Because, I mean, going back to what we said in consumerism and capitalism, living in that type of lifestyle, it's very quick pace, very fast pace. You don't really have the time to sit down and talk about things, especially if you're a male as well, because you're taught to be a hard worker, which is no problem being a hard worker. But if you're working your ass off 7 days a week, 24 hours damn near, and not allowing yourself to sleep and not allowing yourself to sit down and process everything that's going on, you can definitely get lost in the noise of the world, which has been something that I'm rewiring and reprogramming right now within my own self. Because if I can't take the time to sit down and be with myself, then these ideas have no time and no vessel to work through. And if an idea can't work through you and you're not allowing an idea to work through you, it will find somebody else. It just found you because you were in a perfect position for this to happen. And if you stall way too long, then it's going to move on. That idea has to live some way. And if it can't live through you, it will live through something else.
I love that. That's awesome. You know, and that's like the music comes through you. It isn't you.
Yes.
You know, stuff like that.
Michael Jackson talked about it all the time. Prince, Quincy, a lot of the main people that Kendrick Lamar even talked about it. It's like a lot of prominent people, creative wise, not just in music, understand the idea of being a vessel and being a terminal rather than owning their own ideas. Because you being a vessel and being a terminal, whatever terminology works best for you, you are at the mercy of those ideas and creativity, and whenever it comes, no matter what time of day, you have to be at mercy of that. You have to sacrifice what you're doing to put that idea down, even if it's just writing down on a napkin for later. You still have to allow that idea to work through you some way, somehow. Because one thing I've learned with manifesting is that anything that's going on in your head, like I said, with journaling, get it out of there. Because if it's just bouncing around in your head, there's just going to be so many different ideas and so many different predicaments and situations going on in your head over and over and over again. It's just so super cluttered and
it's
stressful.
taking up bandwidth.
Yeah.
Right. You have to, like, if you literally think about it, like, we take our thoughts, we pull them out and we make them.
Yes.
So it's like people say walk the talk or walk the walk and talk the talk, but you also have to think the thoughts, right? So like it's a 3-part formula. It's not just walking and talking. You got to think, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you can enter that flow state. You can, where thinking, you know, you're that vessel, you know, which even more proves the point of like whoever you are is stepping out of the way and letting the creativity through.
Yes.
Like, and that can help with like greed and ego and whatnot. Like you're not taking ownership for what you create, which can create like anger, depression, greed, worry, anxiety, which, like you said, the fast pace, which I wanted to bring up. I went to Peru for 30 days.
Go ham. Okay. Please tell me about that.
It made me feel like I had never met real humans before because they lived in harmony with the planet. Mm-hmm. They grew their own food. They got their own water. They built their own houses. They made their own clothes. And I'm not saying I want to like go back and like get rid of like walls or doors or apartments or cars or anything. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying there's this like beautiful, incredible creativity and connection to the world.
Yeah.
Like they were human beings.
Yeah.
We are human doings.
I like that. I watched the video, Sadhguru. Mm-hmm. He said in the main society, especially in the Western world, we are focused on having, doing, then being, when it's the other way around, where it's being, doing, and then having. We think that we need to have these things first so I can do this, and then once I do it, then I am this, rather than understanding that you are the the creator of your own reality. And for anything to come to life, you have to embody life itself. You have to embody that creativity. When you embody that, when you be it, then you have the opportunity to do whatever, because now you put yourself in this position, in a perspective of, this is who I am. I'm going to do whatever it takes to have it right in front of me, rather than the other way around.
And this reminds me, I'm part of a group called Not Dead Yet. And
shout out to Matt. Matt definitely is a part of them as well.
Hell yeah.
He touched on it.
Absolutely. And then the owner and creator and founder is also named Matt. And Matt Vincent. What's going on?
Well, Matt's real name that works with us is Mateo, but
that shit goes
enough of technical stuff. Back to you.
Amen. Thanks, Houston. Back to the weather. But more or less what it means is like when people say they're afraid to die, it's really interesting to me. Like all I hear is that you're afraid to live. Like I don't hear that you're afraid to die. Like you're stuck in a little bubble and you're afraid to, you care so much about what people think about you that you're afraid to live. And the only reason you're afraid to die is because you haven't been doing shit.
You're not really taking that risk. Like we're so afraid of risk. And that's one of the things I wanted to bring up too in that video, is that we're so attached to conveniency to the point where instead of working for pleasure and working for longevity, long-earned pleasure and a hard-earned life that we can be proud of and really bring life to not only our situation, but to the people that we grow with, we can easily go down the street and get some pleasure for $5.99 and then come back and forget about our problems for a little bit. And then it comes back and then we continue the same cycle of going down the street, $5.99, $10.99. Let's buy some more stuff, or let's get intoxicated.
Man, that was my 20s.
Yeah.
I just chased the moon the whole time. How much pleasure can I get? Any way I can.
Yeah.
And there's an incredible quote by Viktor Frankl in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, that, paraphrasing, pleasure is the side effect of a life well lived and never the goal itself.
Yes.
And I keep that in my wallet, actually. Whenever I quit drinking, quit smoking cigarettes, quit smoking weed, quit doing cocaine, quit chasing women. These are all ways for me to feel alive and good and chase dopamine. But I kept feeling emptier and emptier at the end of the day. And I would find myself being despondent and disassociative, especially growing up. I guess the household was, we'll say, chaotic. And so I would tune things out. And I got fucking good at it. You know what I'm saying? You can disassociate so good.
Yeah.
If you start practicing when you're like 6. And so that's one of the reasons I got into contrast therapy, is so that I could force presence upon myself. If you get in that ice bath, you're fucking cold and you're there, like Wim Hof says, like, I'm right here. You're not anywhere else. And when I heard his story, it was inspiring. For those who don't know, his wife jumped, she fucking turned around, told the kids, I love you guys, I'm leaving, and then jumped out of an 8-story building.
Jeez.
Like straight up was just like, love you guys, jumped.
That is intense.
And so it is. And so like there's so much grief with that, right?
Yeah.
And so he hopped in the ice, and for the first time since that happened, he wasn't thinking about it. And he found that stillness. And he's the person who popularized everything today.
Yeah. Because he'll go on these long hikes with no shirt on, shorts, boots.
Bro's a freak.
Just, yeah, bro is insane.
In the most beautiful way.
Yeah. He's kind of like David Goggins in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Less masochistic. Less run until my feet break. But
yeah. Less Western society type of view of a man.
yeah, because I mean, he was homeless. He was a squatter. He pulled food from a dumpster, and he always talks about how that was the happiest time of his life, is whenever he was living in this like homeless commune. And he says everyone should be homeless for like 2 years of their life. There's a freedom. There's no capitalism. There's no bills. There's no stress. You do what you want. You hang out with who you want. And there's such this horrible connotation of homelessness, but he just calls it responsibility free. You know, like whenever I went to Peru, these people would sit outside and watch birds, and they had food in the cellar, and they would dance, and they would make love. They would go to sleep, you know, and it was so powerful to witness
That freedom.
Yeah. That connection.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of this thing. We were talking about not dead yet life. He's in Uganda right now on a mission trip to like set up water in schools and stuff. And I remember watching a video about this tribe, and they were trying to explain mental illness to them and like the sensation of not belonging. And these American people are trying to report, like, tell them what mental illness is. And they're like, the sensation of not belonging. And they're like, but community, right? Like, we get water together, we eat together, we sing together, we live together. And they literally just could not understand what the fuck they meant by mental illness.
Yeah, I've seen so many different videos of like different foreign not companies, but
The foreign companies, the CEO, yes.
the CEO of Uganda. But no, these different cultures, like when they talk about mental health, it's completely different. And it's just like, y'all aren't getting in the sun enough, or y'all are not in nature, y'all aren't eating right. You're just so synthetic at this point. There's no wonder that you're having issues.
I felt so fake when I was there. Like, it felt like I was a homo techno and they're homo sapiens.
Yeah.
Like, I have phones in my pocket.
Homo techno.
Dude.
I've seen that video.
Dude, I don't even know if I've seen a video. I was just,
You never seen that video?
No.
The one girl that dated Elon Musk. He's like, I don't think we're Homo sapiens anymore. I call this generation Homo techno. I was like, that is hilarious.
dude, I fucking feel her. Like,
Yeah.
when I went there, like, people were people. They were peopling. I had never seen people just like fuck off, but like be so content in community.
Hey, shout out the peopling, man. Shout out the peopling. That is important.
Right. And see, we're creating a new type of peopling, right? Because we're in this like rat race per se. You have to pay for this place, I assume. You have to, that's why I met you, is because you're at a job.
That is facts.
Facts.
That is facts.
And like, how do we then, so this is my personal mantra, and what I believe in and what I want to bring to people is creating a life worth living. And so like, creating a life worth living is a cool phrase, but it's even more important whenever you finish it, which is everyone you love is going to die. And how can you create a life worth living with that in mind?
Accepting your own mortality.
Accepting everyone's mortality.
Yes.
Accepting everything.
Accepting mortality in general.
And just the temporariness.
Yeah.
And how do you do it? You know, we're trying to do it right now. We're connecting. We're creating. You invited me on here to create.
Yes.
right? We're
Exchange ideas.
exchange energy and try to make this a life worth living. We're not doing this because we fucking hate each other, motherfucker. Like, we're doing this because we're like connecting and chilling, and like, this is what we want to do. And so there's so much power in that, because people might watch this, you know, they might be like, y'all are fucking weird, curly headed pieces of shit. But I think we're having a good time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point, you know, to create what we think is worthwhile.
Yeah. Back to what we were saying earlier, it's just, why do we neglect our creativity? It's because, like you said, we're not peopling anymore. It's like we're so fixated on, we're not in a harmonious state within ourselves, and which in contrast with others, because we're either so lenient upon me being this individual person, like I'm in my own individual self, and then on the other side of the spectrum where it's like I have this sense of collectivism but no sense of self. In a way, we haven't found that in between. We haven't found that middle path and that balance. Because I meet people all the time where it's like, I want to be my own person, I don't want to be like you, but at the same time you're still being a part of these groups that is manipulative or unrealistic in a way. And there's no balance, and it doesn't make any sense at all. I hope that makes sense.
Are you talking about like the IRS and shit?
The IRS? I mean, I'm sure they're probably part of this.
You know, I mean, we like create money and debt, and then we get stressed out over something we created, and then like we pretend like we have to stay there.
Yeah. But we print more money and they become more stressed.
Yeah, and then our money is worth less. And then I'm going to Aldi's getting 10 things for $84 when it used to be 55.
Yeah.
You see that fucker who posted a picture of a 2022 receipt at Walmart and a 2024 receipt at Walmart?
I didn't. No.
Same 26 items, $126 in 2022, $420 in 2024.
It's ridiculous, man. And that's another thing where it's like the sense of freedom down there, I guess, like in Peru. And also I lived in Puerto Rico for a couple months, and just like the sense of community and freedom that they had down there, because they're way more in tune with nature. And also they allow nature to do its thing rather than trying to add to it and do everything GMO or cloud seeding and all that. It's like, they're allowing nature to take its course, and every day it rains from 2 to 4 every single day. The plants are as green as they can be. It was the most naturally, let me find the best way to put this.
I think naturally is pretty fire, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a word, but
it is now.
Naturally intact and flourished, I guess you would say.
Flourished.
Yes, beautiful.
And before I forget,
go ahead.
I want to say that capitalism is in Peru as well. They do have jobs. They are working. Some of them are miserable, just like us.
For sure.
What I'm thinking of specifically is the families that I stayed with in the mountains, and the family I stayed with on Amintani, to where they're just fucking there, dude. Like, they're not bebopping around. They're not pissed about getting to work at 8 a.m. They're growing their shit. They're making their cheese. They're making their tablecloth, and they're having just a fine fucking time. But even they have to accept tourism, like me, to survive now. Like, capitalism's hands are reaching out and grabbing everyone.
Trying to.
They're trying to. And I think we picked an awesome time to live because we get to be part of the dismantling.
Yes. And it's that mindset right there is that some people struggle to have, because if you're so indoctrinated into the system, you won't look at it as a prime time to exist. You just look at it as, this is kind of miserable. And you're not looking at the bright side of things or the possibility of things to come and what we can do.
Throwing a pity party.
Yeah. Don't be a party pooper. No cake for you.
The shitty thing about pity parties is not many people come. You know,
that is true. Not a lot of people come to that at all. Yeah, no, I if I'm invited to a pity party, I'm declining.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm gonna be like, no.
Fuck. Yeah. We need a fuck no button on here.
You know what?
Fuck no.
I mean, we can record one. We can do that.
That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, I can't do that at the moment.
Dun, dun.
Can I do it at the moment?
See, that's how we like to think, baby.
Yeah. Can I?
That's how we like to think right there.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to because I don't want to stop the recording.
Right.
So let's be safer. Let's be safe.
Please
and be
don't
sorry.
stop the music.
Yeah, don't stop the music. That is this podcast. But I want to go deeper into Peru because I had. How long were you there?
30 days.
30 days. 31. Because I feel like we can really connect on having a culture shock outside of here. Because going to Puerto Rico and actually, like, I didn't go to Puerto Rico for a vacation. Like, I planned to stay there indefinitely with who I was dating at the time. And I actually, like, got to see the culture as if I was a citizen, as if I moved there, rather than, you know, I'm here for a week, this party and all that, because that can definitely alter your perception of the places that you're at. Is the difference of going to Puerto Rico as a visitor than moving there is, I can guarantee you, significantly different. So experiencing that as a citizen, quote unquote, for a time was a huge culture shock, because a lot of the things that I was attached to up here didn't exist down there, or it was very, very hard to be attached to. The grocery stores were way different. The food was way different.
Way better, you mean?
Huh?
Way better, you mean?
Way better.
Way fresher?
Yeah, there was fresher food. Like, we didn't have the big GMO fruits and vegetables here. Like, everything was homegrown. Everything was the size that it needed to be. And yes, while some of the fruit, cantaloupe to be exact, was smaller, like half the size as it is here, it was way more sweeter, way more delicious. And I just felt the nutrients nurture me in a way that the food up here doesn't. So I wanted to know more about your experience down in Peru, and if you had any more experiences at all, which will lead to a question that I have, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Wonderful. We can just keep going on the food, because the food is 10 times the quality for a quarter of the price. And I mean, it was just unbelievable. Like, you can get fresh squeezed juice. They grab it and they squeeze it right in front of you. It came off the tree a couple days ago. It's incredible.
Yeah, you're not getting stuff from the grocery store. It's like, I don't know what they did to this, but hey, let me buy it. I'm gonna take it home.
Man,
It's a luxury.
Food, incredible. I went down there for a sacred site retreat. So for 14 days, we went to, I think, 9 different sacred sites around Peru. Machu Picchu, Lake Titicaca.
Lake Titicaca.
Yeah. Lake Titicaca. That's how they say it, I'm pretty sure. It means gray cat or gray mountain cat. Fun stuff.
Can it swim?
Say that again?
Can it swim?
Fuck yeah, it can. Aquatic as hell.
There you go.
Yeah. It's actually the highest altitude navigatable lake in the world.
Wow.
It's 4,000 meters above sea level.
Now that you say that, I think that is, if you didn't know before, let me find this picture just to
And
confirm.
while you're looking,
Yes.
it's also the sacral chakra of the planet.
That's exactly what I was looking for.
Fucking
And
right.
Thank you for confirming that.
Absolutely.
I was like, I've seen that name before, and it has everything to do with chakras. I just wanted to see if it was the sacral chakra, which thank you for confirming.
You're welcome.
Going into a place like that where you know it's a sacral chakra, did you go down there knowing that? Okay, so how did your experience link you to the land, but also link you to any lessons or any blockages or buildup of energy that you need to release within that sacral area? Because a lot of different energies, especially here in the Western world, tamper with that and hone in on that chakra alone, because that's pleasurable.
Tamper is such a euphemism for how ravaged the sacral is in the Western world.
Yes.
Then, yeah, we'll go with tampered.
Yeah, it's getting ravaged more and more every single day. Like we're becoming way more sexualized and exploiting pleasure in so many different ways each and every day here.
Have you ever read Brave New World?
I have the book. I know that it's similar to 1984, but 1984 leans more on a world of pain. A Brave New World leans more on a world of pleasure.
Fucking read it. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Aldous Huxley, correct?
Yeah. Fucking insane, dude. And it's happening. Like, you read the book and like each little step is happening. The soma, the pill. We have so many pills that just like, oh, are you sad? Pill. You need to lose weight? Pill. You need to do this? Pill.
Attachment.
They have kids that are sexualized from a young age.
Yeah, that's one thing I really cannot get behind. Like that is just, that ruffles my feathers.
It's happening, you know.
And I'm a human being. I don't have feathers. So that should just show you.
But the duck does.
The duck does.
The duck has feathers.
We'll get back to the duck later.
Fucking right.
Continue what you were saying, though. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, no. And I think we can just move back to the South American continent to where the experiences I had, we'll go Lake Titicaca. We were traveling with Julio, who is a Quiro shaman. And so the Quiro it's the native people of Peru. And whenever the Spanish people went down there, they didn't conquer some areas like up in the mountains where they didn't know people were living. And so some of those lineages are unbroken.
That's interesting.
And whenever you hang out with people, when their lineages are unbroken from X amount of time, who fucking knows? You feel young.
Yeah.
Like the level of deep inherent bodily wisdom. Me and the dude I think he was a year younger than me, and he felt 2,000 years older than me. It was incredible.
Yeah. I can imagine that too. Like that's why I really went to be a part of cultures like that, especially Native American cultures too, because I know a lot of them, like their sense of community is levels beyond a lot of communities here, whether if it's race, class, no matter what it is. But however, that has been ravaged upon very significantly. I feel like more than South America alone. Like it has been so, the manifest destiny, how we learned that in school, and we really didn't bat an eye. That's one thing that's kind of crazy to me. Like growing up in school, it's like we didn't really think twice about it. I'm glad the generation now is kind of speaking up about it. I do think there's better ways that we can inherently tackle that, but just reading that and not thinking twice about it, knowing that it's like, yeah, of course, me being an African American and knowing that my ancestors were ravaged and brought here, I didn't really think about the ravage of other people and how that was a trend not only in my culture, but other cultures as well, especially the natives. And St. Louis is the metropolis of the Native Americans back in the day. Like the mounds and everything. I love going to the
Me
mountain.
too.
I love it. That's where I go.
We'll have to go.
Yes, for sure.
We'll
That's where I go to put energy out into the universe, speak to my ancestors. Just knowing that land and those people have been ravaged is just kind of sickening to me.
And I got really blessed. I was in a program called Academic Stretch in middle school, and we had this phenomenal fucking teacher, KGB, still teaches.
KGB? Like actuals KGB?
Catherine Glaude Bolte.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we all
She
called
wasn't
her.
Russian though?
Can't disclose that.
Oh, yeah, that is KGB. My bad.
Absolutely.
Act like you've been here before, Houston. Come on,
man. All right. So what we had to do was look at one of the courses was Holocaust. One of the courses we took was Trail of Tears. One of the courses we took was the Japanese concentration camps we had in America. And so
Yes.
What she had us
that
do.
is overlooked a lot. A lot of people didn't know about that, especially over on the West Coast. That's where it was huge.
And so we had to do projects on that in middle school. And her goal was the whole class, it's called academic stretch. Her whole phrase was paradigm shifting, right? And so all she wanted us to do was to get more confused. She wanted to stir the pot. She wanted to show us that what we think isn't what is, right? You know, like what we think versus what's real.
Self versus perceived self.
Exactly. And it's important, you know, and I'm really grateful to her, and we still talk a little bit. She's just an incredible force, right? They pulled in Holocaust survivors and they talked to us in person. You know, when we were in middle school, we got to meet them, and we went to the museum in St. Louis, and we all had to do a Trail of Tears project where we picked a tribe and like, what language did they speak? Where did they live? What goods did they sell? What was their territory? Like, what achievements are they known for? Like, what's their culture? And like, having that, what's the term you used for manifest destiny? Is that what you were calling it?
Manifest destiny, yeah.
Yeah, to where like
that
we don't bat an eye.
Yeah, that was kind of that was the advertising or the propaganda for expanding the United States.
Okay, so
after the Louisiana Purchase.
Beautiful. Long story short, academic stretch taught us to bat an eye.
Good.
And I'm grateful for that. You know, I've had just so many series of teachers that I've had so many fucking great teachers in this life. They pop up out of fucking nowhere, and they just show you that what you think is okay, but there's more to think too. You know, and that's special.
It is interesting how, I don't know. Now just thinking about it is because I love history. So learning about certain things, including the Trail of Tears, was just like we didn't really bat a second, an eye at all. And now it got to a point where I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Like we didn't even like stop the conversation and like, hey, what happened?
And it's happening right now.
Yeah.
There's some things happening across the pond that are questionable at best.
In multiple different places. And, you know, we're not just talking about Palestine, even though Palestine is in the conversation. Congo is in the conversation. Yemen is in the conversation.
And people just like kill people over like rocks and shit to build car batteries.
I mean, even bro, even here in black neighborhoods, like we're killing our own people. Like, yeah, we can talk about the police and some systematic racism. Systemic. God damn it. I could not get that word out. That was way harder than it needed to be.
Fuck that word.
Pausable moment. Had to make sure. But
dude, and just like how, say in like the 30s, the Black Webster community was doing so good and they were getting rid of segregation in public pools.
Yes.
And some pools literally just chose to close down instead of desegregating. And then like the introduction of like firearms and drugs into black communities that were thriving to purposely, I mean, I believe that happened.
Yeah, for sure. And taking the war on drugs, the initiative in the 70s to take black fathers out of their homes. So the next generation doesn't really have a leader to look upon.
Culture crafting.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And that's sickening to me.
Dude. And there's so much mind propaganda in the sense of like, you said the war on drugs.
Yes. It wasn't a war on drugs.
Well, that's a word. That's not an actual war. You can just keep switching. And that's what the war on terror is. Terror is an emotion.
Ever heard double speak?
Clarify it.
Double speak in a way is a language where you're saying one thing, but you're saying something else so good to the point where it's like you're lying, but telling the truth at the same time.
We hit on that earlier with the autism stuff.
Yes.
Right? Because my brother hears one thing, you heard one thing when you were growing up, and you're like, you guys actually said this. And they're like, no, I fucking didn't. You know, it's like cultural mass scale gaslighting.
Yeah. And that's
Double
essentially
speak,
what big corporations and companies do and governments do in a way for saving their ass. Like, we're not lying. We just formed it in a way that we were lying, but you aren't educated enough to understand the terminology and the way that we speak.
And I think all the conversations we've been having is like the precursor to creativity.
Yes.
Like, you have to walk down those roads and be pissed and like, fuck the government, fuck this, fuck that, before you're like, okay, but that just hurts me.
Yeah.
What do I do about it now?
Yeah, you're not just creating to create. You have a purpose behind it. Like, now there's a lot more antithesis with it. Like, you're emphasizing and having a reason and intention behind creativity rather than just creating to create. That's what makes it a lot more valuable and a lot more intimate.
And on my wall in my room, I drew a little picture of a scale, and it says consumerism and creativity. And I want to have those balanced in my life.
Yes, because it's not bad to consume. We're consuming.
We have to.
We're consuming this conversation. I'm
Yeah.
consuming what you're telling
Exactly.
me. But having an over reliance on consuming and doing nothing but consuming to the point where you're just taking in reality and not adding to it, that's the issue.
And I think that's, if we go back to the sacral chakra, I think that's what's wrong with so many. We'll say people. A lot of
people.
males, but people in general, we take instead of give.
Yes.
And so, like, women generally receive sexual energy and men usually provide, right? If we think
Yes.
about it in terms like that. But we need both. Like, I need to receive too,
Yes.
you know? And like, there was a moment where like I wasn't enjoying things like that because it just felt like, all right, clocking on, putting in the work. Okay, done. No connection. I'm not receiving anything from this.
That's essentially like that whole 9 to 5 type of living too. Is like, I'm giving everything that I got, my time, my energy. But when do I have the time to receive rest and nourishment and insight and a new perspective? If I'm constantly just working and moving, then, like I said earlier, there's no way that creativity can fully work through me if I'm not allowing it the space and the time to actually take place.
Because you can't give what you don't have, right? I can't give you an orange right now. I don't have one,
Yeah.
right? I have my voice. I have my ideas, right? We have a duck. I could give you the duck.
Shout the duck.
What the fuck up, dude? He's killing it, dude. You see him mean
I
mugging
know
his
he
fucking laptop.
didn't
the
have
whole
to
time.
say. He doesn't say a word. He's just there. His presence is electrifying in of itself.
Todd
his
Winston
name-
Montgomery, baby.
Yes, Todd Winston Montgomery. That is his name today, ladies and gentlemen. His name changes every single day. Speaking of creativity, and knowing that there has been unravaged parts of Peru that you visit, how is the creativity there, knowing that they haven't been institutionalized in a way?
Well, they create, and some of the things they create are these beautiful blankets, hats, and stuff. And since consumerism has touched them as well, they're creating to keep their village alive, but they also create with so much reverence for nature. And so everywhere we went, we have a bag of coca leaves. And whenever we get to a spot, Julio would make everyone stop. And he would say,
Shout out Julio.
fucking right, dude. Incredible. Fucking dude. Big money millionaire. He deserves hella applause, bro. All
right,
He
we're
changed
gonna
my
do
whole
it again.
life.
Do it one more time for Julio.
Give it up. So we would show up and he would make us all circle up and pause, pull out 3 leaves, say thank you to the land, say thank you to each direction. He knew the name of every mountain peak that was visible at all points in time on our entire trip to Peru, all up and down. And he would call each mountain by name. They're called apus.
Apus.
Apus. And every mountain has a spirit. And everywhere we went, he thanked it for letting us be there and for what it provides. And that level of reverence and deepness is a form of creativity in itself. Or at least it's a form of honoring the creativity
Of the planet.
Yeah.
And being one with it.
Yeah. And there was no divide between nature and humans. There isn't.
There isn't at all.
And he lived that unification.
Yeah.
And so what we would do is we'd set our intention, pray to each direction, give thanks to each spirit, landscape spirit in the area, chew on the leaves, take them out, and set them somewhere under a rock, under something. And it was your way of leaving your respect for the land, if I'm understanding it correctly. And it was fucking dope, dude. Just like
That's sick.
tapping in and giving so much respect everywhere you went. Can you imagine if you stepped into fucking Target and was like, Spirit of Target, thanks for all you provide to people. This is incredible. We don't have to want. The things I need are here, you know? And like, maybe that's a poor example, but like bringing sacredness to the mundane, nothing was mundane to him. Every single fucking thing was alive.
And could hear his words.
And I loved it. It was so rich with connection. He had a connection to everything. Like, there's just such like a deep peace in that. Like, even though like I felt young around him, his like deepness rubbed off on me in a way of just like, how much respect can fit into one human?
Yeah. Reverence.
Fucking right.
That is something that we lack because, at least in the Western world, it's like kids playing on the playground but not being grateful for the playground itself. We're just playing on it, not knowing what we're actually playing on and the blessings that it actually provide. It's that we're just here doing our thing, using it to its max capacity, and then when it breaks down, it's like, oh, we wonder what's going on. We mourn over it. But if we look back, it's like we took advantage of the blessings without giving blessings back to it.
And like, for some reason, I'm thinking about like a bathroom and a toilet, right? Like, it takes away so much for us. Like, it does such an integral job. The plumbing system in St. Louis does such an integral job every moment.
Yeah.
When's the last time you said thank you? I don't know if I've ever said thank you to a fucking toilet.
Or
right?
thank you. Like, I feel like I said thank you to the shower, but but I mean, yeah, I have, because there's some times where you gotta go, and when you finally go after a long awaited period, you're like, thank you. This is a blessing.
Right.
Because I didn't want to be a geek off the street doing it on the street.
Amen.
Yeah. So
don't shout
out to all the toilets and the bathrooms out there, man. While I may not agree with the way that we dispose our disposables, I'm still very thankful that it's being disposed.
You put your toilet paper in the trash can in Peru. You don't flush it down the toilet.
That probably helps.
Probably a fuck ton.
Yeah, probably.
Like, you're not allowed to flush anything down the toilet but waste. Waste meaning poop.
Yes.
No items.
Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely help the integrity of the plumbing system, I feel like. But I'm not an expert on plumbing, so I want to know. But I'm getting a hunch that it does help.
This is great, dude.
Yes, sir. I love it.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man.
Over. Yeah. It's been great.
So my question, finally, you have been on retreats before, including what we talked about. What is the importance of retreats in the community that is provided with those retreats?
Well, let's just speak from personal experience. I went on a retreat for the Not Dead Yet retreats. And I did it solely to meet more like-minded people in St. Louis. and to like deepen my connection in that community. And that's exactly what I fucking got, is like a deeper connection in a community. Me and those guys still talk sometimes, and it's been 2.5 years, and we went through hardship together. We did classes.
Where did y'all go?
Here.
Oh, okay.
Dude, it was here. I went to a retreat in my own city.
That's hard.
And there was people
That's
from Canada and California and all sorts of places.
Oh,
So for
okay.
them,
that's interesting.
yeah. So I chose to go on a retreat in my own city.
You were kind of like the navigator in a way.
I was, but it also allowed me to see St. Louis from people who were not from St. Louis.
That's hard. I
Right.
like that. That was interesting.
It was cool, man. And
Yeah.
like, I did that last night. I took someone out to Venice Cafe. And if you haven't been, have you been?
Never even heard of
Ooh, we'll go. It's
Where is it?
incredible. Pestalozzi.
it. I don't know what that is.
I think it opened in late 80s. And it's fucking incredible. The way it's decorated is amazing.
They got good tea?
No,
Damn.
but they have non-alcoholic beverages.
I'll take a water with lemon.
Amen. Yeah, I had an athletic NA last night. It was great. But I took her to this place that I've been 300-400 times. And just like, she was from out of town. And so I was like, what if I was from out of town? And so I started looking around and just noticing hundreds of things that I've never seen before. Just like choosing to look at it with new eyes, you know?
Yeah. I like that.
Right.
I wasn't expecting that answer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess we're moving away from the community question that you asked, but
I mean, that's still community, but it's just bringing community here in a way and connecting with a community here that is not originally from here and not going to stay here.
yeah. And that's some of the value that I found in that particular retreat.
It's kind of what Julio did for you. Mm-hmm. You had Julio within you, and pretty
maybe,
much embraced
yeah.
what he taught you.
And maybe
Because did that happen before? Did Peru happen before they came to St. Louis?
Yep. I went to Peru.
Perfect.
And then it was that next March that I went to the retreat.
Makes sense.
And how cool, dude. Like imagine you being me right now and you've never seen any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just a really refreshing way to view. And let's say like I went on a couple yoga retreats. I still talk to people from those. It's a way to build community and like-mindedness. I went to Arizona, saw the Grand Canyon, did a bunch of downward dogs, you know?
Yeah, the Grand Canyon is, God, it's so like, just being in the presence of it is insane. Like, I don't want to speak at all. Mm-hmm. Like, no words at all. You're just looking at it and you're like, wow. Like, God did this.
Right.
God did. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Khaled, even though he's annoying.
And another one. Dude. Yeah. So, I mean, importance of retreats is, I guess to sum it up, like it gives you a new perspective on things that might not be new.
Yeah. So why do we go on retreats though? Like not just the importance, but why should we? So take it from me, like I've never really been on a retreat. Like I can count Puerto Rico as a retreat, but I didn't go down there in terms of a retreat. I just look back on it as if it was a retreat. But going on an actual retreat is something I've never done before. So you're persuading me and informing me. How would you do that?
Well, what came up is I think you would go on a meditation retreat. And what are you going to find there? Because you're a seeker.
I am.
And you would be finding a community of people to connect with, choosing to pay money and travel, You know, it's like there's a cost of entry, which is its own initiation. You all had to find it, have the desire, put forth the resources, get there. And now, what an amazing energy that creates. All of you chose to be at a place that you find so much value. And so that's the fucking vibe from moment one. It's like that men's retreat was all of us looking for more and looking for different. And that was the tone.
Yeah.
So like you walk into that fucking tone day one. Like I'm sure you could make a retreat about like bitching every day. And that would be a little bit different. Like a complaining retreat. Like,
let's get together and complain.
Bro, just hang out with my mom. You'll have a great time. She's a professional complainer, man.
A1 complainer.
Dude, if she could get paid to complain, we would never want for anything.
You'll never have to work again, I guess.
Fuck no. No, dude. And then we could complain about it and how bored we are.
Shout out to moms for complaining.
Dude, love you, Mom. If you watch this, you're a real one. Also, maybe stop complaining so much. Yeah, she needs to hear that. And I inherit it too. I'm a worrying son of a bitch. And sometimes you tell yourself stories. I just had a wonderful conversation with someone this morning about how a text they sent me, I perceived one way and I thought they were being condescending and rude. But what they were doing is being humorous and funny and taking responsibility. And like the way that we use capital letters in texts isn't one size fits all.
Yeah.
And the culture of that person, all capital word is like a playful, like, you know, like something like really playful, but also acknowledging. But to me, it was like a condescending slap in the face. And so we had this conversation, this clearing convo this morning. And I was just like, I have literally been making you out to be this rude person in my head. And you were joking the whole damn time.
Yeah. That's interesting that you say that, because I've definitely encountered that many, many times in my life where it's like, why am I getting triggered for somebody that means well and is just joking? Or why, and this is kind of the competitive spirit taken in a more like toxic way. Like, why am I preying upon this person's downfall just to make me feel better?
That is one of my fucking tenets, dude.
Yeah.
I call it avoid downplaying others to prop yourself up.
Yeah.
Do it all the time. I'm so guilty of it.
Because are you really climbing the ladder, or are you cutting down somebody's ladder so it seems like you're higher
So
than
you can climb over them, dude.
Right.
I got that shit in my blood.
Ooh.
So when you're learning lessons in life, you have to learn them many times. Like that's never going to go away.
It's going to reoccur. It's not just going to be like, oh, you've been through this, now you're done with it. Like, no, it's going to reoccur and to be like, hey, did you learn anything from last time? If not, then here's an opportunity to learn again. Or if you did, then here's an opportunity to put that into practice.
And it's like a muscle, right?
Yes.
There's a maintenance phase.
Yeah.
And if you quit doing it, you're going to revert right back to those patterns.
Yeah, and that's one of the misconceptions that I had in my spiritual journey is like the elimination of suffering. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Well, there is an elimination of suffering. It's just not an elimination of suffering. Let me backtrack.
An acceptance of suffering.
An acceptance of suffering. Like, suffering is going to continue to happen. There's going to be your highs. There's going to be your lows. But are you taking it in as a learning experience or solely as a painful experience? Because there's people that go through things that are suffering, but don't really focus on the pain, that fight through the pain, that understand that the pain is what influences me to be better and to be stronger. Like, I'm not told, I don't know what it's like to get up if I've never fell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's like every challenge and hardship has a blessing and a lesson, and it's your job to find them.
Yes.
Or to throw a pity party.
Yeah.
If you want to come.
Exactly. I feel like more people are throwing pity parties now because it's like we're focused on this but perception of life is happening to us rather than happening not only for us, but through us.
I haven't put life happening through us as like the next step in that, right?
Yeah.
Because I think the reason why we do complain is because life happens to us.
Yes.
And the reason we can find blessings is because life happens for us. And then I guess, what do you find when life lives through you?
Life itself.
Yeah.
You understand the meaning of life if it's happening through you because you're embodying life. Then you understand that, that's when you can fully understand that, life is happening to me and for me at the same time because I am life itself.
And you get to pick.
Exactly.
And that's also in Viktor Frankl's book, which is There Isn't a Meaning of Life. Life has the meaning you assign to it.
Yes. Intention is completely up to you.
Yeah.
And that's, have you ever read The Kabbalion?
It's in my room.
Bro, read that book.
I have not read it.
Read that book. It's a short read, about 140 pages. It goes through the 7 principles of the 7 hermetic principles. And one thing I've learned is that life is a paradox. Like we said earlier, like you can't have fear without bravery and vice versa. Completely slipped my mind again. Like, where the hell? What the hell? What the hell is going on? This is twice in one podcast. Kind of, I think that's a record for me where I just it just slipped my mind now.
We should go for 3.
I mean, it will always come back to me. I know that for a fact. So let it come back to me. So breath and exposure, what you do outside of the edge. I really want to talk about that. I want to give you the floor to talk about that. Just ramble. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Show him the shirt. Show him the shirt. Yeah. Fuck it up. Okay. Breath and exposure STL, everybody. Congrats to much success and being a part of it. But
thank you.
But being a part of that, what have you learned? What does it do not only for you, but what can it provide for other people as well?
Yeah.
And does contrast therapy connect with that?
Yep. So these are the same things. And so what we offer is breath work and contrast therapy in the form of ice baths and wood burning sauna. It's kind of the intersection of mindfulness, performance, recovery, and stress management. And so I'm really grateful to be a part of this project and business. It's been a fucking game changer. Whenever I was looking for more after I got sober, I had valued Wim Hof because of his story in the cold, right? I had done those things before. And so whenever I found someone offering these things in St. Louis, I was like, I gotta go do shit that I love and find people who love it. I need to find a tribe, you know?
That brings up what I wanted to talk about. Boom, we're back to it. And this is a good segue. The paradox of free will and determination is that we have the ability to set intentions out of our free will, what we want to do in our life and what is the purpose of our life. But when we get so deep into it, it's not like we have a choice anymore. We're so determined to live that life now because that's all we know and that's all we want to live is I found my purpose, and anything outside of my purpose, I'm not going to give it time nor energy. So now bringing that up with breath and exposure, is that a vehicle in which you found not only your purpose, but are determined to live under that purpose?
100%. Nice. I love it, man. It's really special. And being able to provide services that down regulate people and bring them back into their body and help them cultivate stress management is so fucking fulfilling. I can't even begin to tell you. Like, you have people cry. You have people text you afterwards saying thank you. You have people hugging you. You have people. It's just like such an incredible medicine that I was fortunate enough to provide and get to offer and be a part of this team, right? Both of these team members are incredible people and are integral for my growth right now. And it's amazing.
I like the deep breath.
Yeah.
That's a testament to what you do.
Yeah.
It's the breath work.
Yeah. And Josh is like this mixture of like friend, coworker, mentor, uncle kind of figure.
What's his name?
Josh Hildebrand. Fucking right. He's on a retreat right now.
Let's go. Where's he at?
California.
Okay.
He's training with XPT creators, founders, legends, Gabby Reese and Laird Hamilton. I'm still entering this world. XPT is who I have my breathwork certification through.
Okay.
And so he's still doing his training, you know. He's a firefighter, ex-veteran, father, husband, coach. He wears so many hats and chooses to just like do it at the top level everywhere.
You listed all the compliments and then out of nowhere he wears so many hats.
Dude, those are the hats he wears, dude. He also just wears hats literally.
Oh, I thought like right off the bat you meant literally. Like I thought you were just goofing around.
No,
but, okay, I
but
see
like
what you're
also
saying.
literally.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he's like
Fedoras?
no, but
Bucket hats?
you know, I think he would look better in a bucket hat than a fedora.
Okay.
He's
Yeah,
actually
fedoras, so you gotta be very precise with.
fucking right.
Yeah.
Whenever I used to play music, I played with my friend who wore a fedora 100% of the time.
100% of the time.
100%
He
of the
slept
time.
in the fedora.
Fuck yeah, I did.
He was one of those guys that put it
bald
on his
ass head.
face. Yeah.
Fucking.
Oh yeah. If you're bald, then every hat will cater to you.
I mean, especially a fedora, man.
That's facts.
Amen. But like, he's still learning and growing, and being around someone who is my boss technically, who's still learning and growing, gives me such a willingness to show up better for him and me, and which in turn allows me to show up better for all the people we serve. And part of the thing he told me whenever I started is like, you have to show up for you first in order to show up for everybody else, because this is about nervous system regulation. And everyone's going to co-regulate to your energy. And so that hit me, dude. Because it's like, my energy sets the fucking tone. 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I lead 2 classes for breath and exposure tomorrow.
There you go. Where can we find that?
We're off Kings Highway in McCree, out of CrossFit Ready to Live. We usually run sessions on Saturdays, Sundays, 12:30 p.m. $40 a pop, about 2-3 hours. It's incredible. You get to meet
Up to
so many
3
people.
hours for $40?
Exactly.
That is a steal.
Exactly.
Huh.
Like, we're
I'm
not
gonna have
doing
to do
this.
that as soon as I come back from vacation.
That'd be fucking dope, man.
Yes.
I'd love to have you. And that's why we have it that way. So it's accessible. In this world where all we are is in fight or flight and capitalism and like this and this energy, and we're like this.
So tense. It's fast paced. I can't slow down.
But you can.
Yeah.
And that's what we help people do, is slow down.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What is the importance of breath control and awareness towards that? Because through meditation alone, I have learned the importance of breath, because your breath is the rhythm of life.
Yeah.
If your breath is really, really quick and you're just, your life will reflect that. A lot of things, a lot more anxiety will build up. A lot more things that you can't control will build up, and it's just like a lot more hecticness. But when you take the time to, everything just slows down.
Yeah.
If you slow yourself down, I promise everything will follow.
And if you start the podcast over and look at me, I'm in sympathetic.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, you were a little sweaty too.
Fuck yeah, I was.
Yeah, but now when we found that rhythm, now this conversation has just really smoothened out.
Right. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know? And you'll see me dodging the mic to breathe deeper.
Yeah.
But I can hear it through the headphone. And so I scooted. Right. And so I was finding my breath during a stressful situation, which is what we teach during the ice. Right. It's hard. It's stressful. You want to get the fuck out. And you calm yourself during the stress. And it's been perfect to do during the podcast as well. You know, this is fun for me. Like, I get to live what I teach, and you get to watch me, if you watch this podcast, regulate myself throughout it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a human. I still have to do this shit too. Just because I'm certified and have coached a bunch of classes and love doing so doesn't make me exempt from physiology. Right? And breath is the intersection of spirit and anatomy, psychology and the 3D, right? It is invisible, but also measurable.
Yeah.
And so it's literally the most important thing, you know, like if you stopped breathing for 5 minutes, you might die right now.
Perhaps.
There's nothing else that you can say that about. You can go without food for 40 days. You can go without water for 7. I think the longest anyone's ever gone without breathing is like 24 and a half minutes, which shout out to free divers. Y'all are fucking beasts.
Yeah. You can't even get 30 minutes without breath.
Then you're dead.
Yeah. That will just show you how important that rhythm is.
And so for all of us, if we knew how to breathe properly, which is part of our mission, we would be able to control our physiology better. And speaking of physiology, there's an initiative that I'm a part of moderately. I took a certification with them called Physiology First University. And it's teaching teenagers and kids like about anxiety. Because if you talk to a kid and you're like, what is anxiety? Start over. If you say, do you have anxiety? They'll say yes. And then you say, what is it? And they'll be like,
that is a great question. What is anxiety? Like, we always get thrown that question, like, are you anxious? Are you depressed? Like, what is it though?
right. And we're confusing our physiology and blaming it on our psychology. Right? Anxiety is a physiological state, not a mental state.
Yeah. It just affects the mental states.
Right.
So if anything, that the physiology is a parasite that links on to the psychology.
And then we pay millions of dollars to medicate children.
Yeah. Just to treat them and not cure them. Just to treat them.
Right.
Because a cured patient is a lost customer.
But I could give you anxiety right now if you just breathe in and out your mouth really fast for about 3 minutes. Keep doing that. You'll feel fucking terrible.
Oh, yeah. Horrible.
But
I felt weird for the 5 seconds
yeah,
I
you
did.
did. And now if you fill up all the way, if you take a diaphragmatic breath from the belly to the chest, side ribs, up to the collarbone once, and then breathe out slow, you'll feel calmer. Right? If you take 15 seconds to do that right now, if we pop away from the mic,
It just slowed everything down.
that shit hits, dude.
Yeah.
And that's all you got to do. Right? And so kids don't know that. I didn't know that. Right? You see kids screaming and yelling at each other. Have you ever seen a kid on the playground just be like, Houston, 1 sec.
Let me go in this tree right now.
I'm feeling angry,
meditate.
bro.
Yeah.
We should talk about it. No, they're just like, fuck you, little idiot.
Yeah, we're we're just and I had this conversation with Dr. Julie Gary, is that we're so heavy reliant on identifying with what's happening within ourselves rather than perceiving and being aware of it, and not linking ourselves. Because in Buddhism, the first thing that leads to suffering is desire, which is attachment.
Bro, I'm hella passionate about that. Like, I am depressed. Shut the fuck up. You're Houston. Like, and you're not even Houston. That's your name.
Yeah, you can't even comprehend who you are. It's a lot greater than any word or any object can ever compare to, because this is just an illusion that's temporary.
And we can keep putting space in between that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm feeling much more calm right now. So we could say, I am calm. Well, no, I'm feeling calm. No, I'm experiencing the sensation of feeling calm. No, I'm choosing to experience the sensation of feeling calm. And we can keep creating distance, right? And for kids who have anxiety and depression, divorcing the identity is huge. You're not depressed, my dude. You're feeling depression. You're not feeling depression. You're experiencing the sensations of what it feels like to be depressed. And we can keep
to the point where you're really like, okay, then what is this? What's happening right now?
Right. And then once you figure out, oh, it's a dorsal sympathetic nervous system. I'm in like extreme dorsal shutdown or sympathetic shock to where I'm disassociated. Same thing fucking possums do when they play dead. It's part of the nervous system. Mm-hmm. You are so overstimulated that you play dead. And we do that all the time, right? Like I said earlier in the podcast, that was my main form of protection.
You read The Power of Now, right? Mm-hmm. The Pain Body. Mm-hmm. I read another book, The Way of Shaman or something like that. I forgot. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Ozzy though for I would say borrowing the book, but he left it in the car, then moved to Arizona. So thank you for the book, bro. I appreciate that.
Thanks for giving Houston the book, Ozzy.
Yeah, it wasn't really giving. You kind of just forgot, and I just ran with it.
Ozzy's giving.
Yes, Ozzy is a great person. Shout out to him. I'll get him on the podcast here soon, though. But yeah, whatever we were just talking about. Oh,
whatever we were just talking about.
The pain body, and in that book, it was called The Parasite. How we aren't aware of it, and if we continue to ignore the awareness of it, it will continue to get into our nervous system, into our thoughts, our emotions, and then we identify with it. And then when we identify with it, that is what we're creating. Because in my profile on Instagram, I say Yahweh, and what Yahweh means is the great I am. Anything that is said after I am, that is what is in existence. That is the reality. That is, I am is the creator. Anything that comes after I am is the creation itself. Mm-hmm. So if you're saying that I am depressed, are you not creating depression within yourself?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And you're just anchoring that shit in. Mm-hmm. You got to pull up the anchors, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
We got places to go. Mm-hmm. You can't be fucking dragging your depressed ass all over the place. You got to pull up the anchor.
That's facts.
You know? And I mean, that's why I found Breath and Exposure, is because, like, I was depressed. I identified with depression. Like, I was a walking depressed motherfucker. And I drank about it. I smoked about it. And then...
grieving.
Dude.
That's one thing that, the reason why I love Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers so much. And I've mentioned that so many times on this podcast. But it's just like the importance of... understanding that you may be grieving and you just don't know it. And it's just reflecting itself on certain activities and identifications that you link to is so interesting to me.
Self versus perceived self.
Yes. Yes.
There's some things you don't realize that are happening.
Oh man, there's so much things. Like, you don't have to think about your heart beating. It just does it. And the whole process of that is not just boom, 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 boom. Like, there's so many things going on for that to happen. And so many different parts of the body that is integral for that to happen as well.
And like I was learning yesterday, as you inhale, the heart speeds up. And as you exhale, the heart slows down. And breathing directly affects that heart. And it's pretty beautiful how breath can be used to hack into the autonomous nervous system, which was previously thought to just be automatic, like that heartbeat. But we can influence that shit. And that happens through the breath. We can influence how we feel at any point in time. Like, I can make you calmer in 12 seconds. If you just breathe into your belly as much as you can, let your ribs expand and let your chest expand all the way up to your collarbone, then exhale for like 10 seconds, you'll feel a little calmer. You will. I dare you to fucking do it. Try it. You know?
Yeah.
You. Try it.
He's looking at you, audience.
Break the shit out of the fourth wall.
Come on, man. It's funny that you said that. I watched Deadpool yesterday. Pretty funny movie for sure.
The new one or
The newer one, yeah.
my friend was doing the same thing as well.
Yeah. Great movie. I did like it. I liked it a lot. But I'm not here to talk about Deadpool, honestly. Break time. All right. So what I like to do for every episode, you guys know this, is that we got two albums up here. One that I picked, one that Cody picked. Sir Montgomery here, the duck, did not pick because he was kind of reluctant to pick. He's just here and very emotionalist and kind of just death staring me right now, but we're gonna continue. So I picked Illmatic by Nas, and you picked that's crazy, I Am by Earth, Wind and Fire. We were literally just talking about I Am.
Yeah.
So crazy how that correlates. What was the reason for picking Earth, Wind and Fire, one of the greatest groups to do R&B and soul of all time?
I love funk and soul, man.
Yes.
That shit moves me.
It's so raw and just like, it hits you right in your soul, bro.
And for me, it feels playful.
Yes.
And I love that shit. Like, it makes me happy.
It creates life.
It creates life. And I think that's why I chose it. Because whenever I hear it, it makes me smile.
That is interesting too, because you see a baby in the womb on the album cover. You guys may not be able to see that, but in the middle of that star, there's actually a baby curled up like it's in the womb.
And it's facing the older man.
Yes, it is.
And so the young and the old,
The balance.
there's a balance.
Yeah, Earth, Wind and Fire, one thing I've learned about them in general through their music and just how they talk, they're very in tune with who they are, their music and spirituality in general. That's probably why their music is so good. It's because they have that level of being in tune with themselves, which is very critical to being in tune with the music at the max capacity that you can. So, but yeah, go more on Earth, Wind and Fire though. Why'd you pick that, man?
I mean, growing up, I have my own music taste as well, but growing up, my mom loves R&B. The first record I ever listened to was Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight.
Great song.
That's the
It may not be R&B, but it's still in that same time period.
It's like more of like soul hop, right? That's when
It's like it's the early days of what hip hop was.
Yeah, and like Janet Jackson, Earth, Wind and Fire, all these things that I heard every day on the way to school.
They all have hip hop elements. Like hip hop would be nothing without soul. Like the majority of all these songs, I think every single song on here has a soul sample.
Yeah. And speaking of like soul on the sample, like what does that like invoke in your soul? Why'd you pick that?
Nas has been popping up on my feed a lot lately. I think that Illmatic is, and I mean, it's well received. It's one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time. He was 19, 20 years old dropping this, and this was his first album. Like, that just goes to show you why Nas is one of the greatest to ever do it. But this album is a staple to hip hop in general. Like what you can do, his wordplay. He was still conscious too as well. Like, he talked about conscious things while also talking about the streets, showing the importance of the street life to him and why it molded him into who he is now and how he keeps that into his heart. But this is when he was 19, 20 years old, first album early into the game. So it's like, it's raw. Like, a lot of the things that he's saying is raw. Like, he's living that life. He's seen these things. But also the production on this is amazing. Like, I love soul samples. I love boom bap. New York boom bap hip hop is my favorite type of hip hop. Like, that's why I fell in love with it. My dad engraved that into my system through Nas, Biggie, Jay-Z, A Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, just all of them. And I love it. I'm very appreciative for my dad and everybody else that I've met that is in love with that style of hip hop, because that's where hip hop was born. The soul of hip hop was born in the Bronx. And I'm sure he's from Queens, but I mean, that's still 20 minutes away.
We're close enough.
20 minutes away, 45 minutes away if you're talking about rush hour in New York, because it's kind of insane.
Yeah, we don't like that.
Yeah, no.
I'm not a big traffic guy.
Yeah, not me either. That's one thing I'm very appreciative of St. Louis. And also not having to take 270 anytime.
I think we would both wait in traffic to see either of these artists, though.
Oh, yeah, I will wait in traffic for both of them. Like, I will wait in line to see Nas or Earth, Wind, and Fire, for sure, without a doubt. Without a doubt. But I just looked at the time. I do have to be somewhere here soon, so there are two things that I want to wrap up with. First one, what lessons are we learning right now? You brought this up in the text. And I thought that was a very interesting talking point, because I don't think I've ever had that talking point before. So I want to give you the floor. What lessons are you learning right now? And what is the importance of those lessons? And how can those lessons reflect on other people's lives? Kind of a loaded question, but hey.
So once upon a time, something I'm learning is that how I interpret the situation may not always be how the situation is.
Self versus perceived self. That is,
it's just huge, dude.
Yeah, that continues to pop up, and I think that's the main thing here.
Yeah. And you could just do like perception versus reality, right? Because like, God, this is a funny example. Whenever I first moved in with my roommates, I kept moving the toilet paper to a different spot in the bathroom, and they kept moving it back, and I kept moving it back, and he kept moving it back, and there was this tension, and we were like fighting for the toilet paper and like putting it in the wrong spot, and like, oh, this motherfucker's always moving it, this, that, and the other. So one day I'm like, we're really in a fight with this toilet paper roll, aren't we? And he was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? No. And I'm like, you're not mad that I keep moving the toilet paper? And he's like, do you keep moving the toilet paper? And so for like 6 weeks, I'm having this internal dialogue in my head of the story of this battle that me and my roommate are in. And I'm the only one fighting. And it's just taking up all this bandwidth and space, and I'm angry, and we're in this fight, but there's no fight.
Yeah. It's just an internal fight that you made up.
I just made up the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's causing me stress, and I'm telling the story every day.
Oof. That one hits home.
And I just learned it again today with that story I told earlier about how this person was being so condescending to me over text.
Yeah. But being joking the whole time.
Playful.
Yeah.
And so for 5 weeks, I was like poisoning the water in my head about just like, can't believe they would talk to me like that, when it wasn't true the whole fucking time. And so I think what I'm learning right now is that the stories we tell ourselves need to be corroborated with our peers, because you could be fighting a battle by yourself that no one else is fighting and no one else cares about. And you're wasting a lot of mental and emotional energy on literal made up bullshit. So check your stories, I guess, is what I'm learning right now.
That's a very integral. Like, we make up these narratives. And again, back on attachment, we attach ourselves to these narratives and think that's reality to the point where it affects us so deeply. When the reality of it comes, like having those conversations and realizing that, oh, this person was joking the whole time, or this person means absolutely no harm. If anything, I'm the only one that's bringing harm to the situation, and not necessarily to the person, but to myself for thinking and being attached to this idea that this is a hostile situation when it's not at all. Like, there's been so many instances that I've gotten into, and it's like, you're overreacting, dude. Like, why are you thinking? If anything, it's just a testament to overthinking, like, so hard to the point where it's like all rationale has gone out the window, and it's just like you're running with this story. It's kind of like the news. A conversation for a different time.
Yeah, we don't get into that. But yeah, that's what I'm learning. Check your fucking stories. You could be fighting that battle by yourself.
100%. I appreciate you sharing that. Anything else at all?
Anything else that I'm learning? Is there
Backflips?
I learned how to do a backflip when I was 16.
Nice.
I've since let that skill wither away.
Okay.
But it's definitely a point of pride. I could do backflips when I was 16, motherfuckers. What you got on me?
Damn. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever successfully done a backflip, but I've never tried. I never shot for the success, but maybe here in the near future, maybe while I'm on vacation next week.
I could teach you in 3 hours.
But you don't know how to backflip anymore, you said.
I know the mechanics.
I'll take that.
Bro, we just got high and drunk at the beach one day and just kept like helping each other do backflips, and we learned in like an hour. No bullshit.
Yeah, honestly, you just gotta buck around and find out. Honestly,
hey,
that's what it's like. That's what it's about right here.
That's the only thing.
Yes.
I mean, that's your next fucking picture.
Fuck around and find out.
Why not?
Ooh,
forehead tattoo.
I could do that.
Fafo.
I gotta color in the eye first. I keep forgetting to do that, and then I'll add.
Do you have to color in the eye?
I do, because I just feel like it's not visually appealing enough. Also, blank. That's just a blank eye. I definitely want to add more to that. I don't have to add like the vessels, but just an interesting color to the eye. Yeah,
fucking right.
But yeah, is that the lesson that you have for the day that you are going through?
That's the fucking lesson.
Yeah.
That's the lesson. Are you learning a lesson right now?
I'm always learning a lesson. What's
the first one that pops up?
Nurturing my creativity, for sure.
Yeah.
We pretty much talked about it all throughout the podcast. It's just learning to be a vessel, allowing myself to be a vessel, and stop taking control, because I did a lot of reflecting, especially yesterday, on the early days of my spiritual journey and how I was very, very attached with control and trying to control that narrative when I'm dealing with something that is just like cannot be controlled. I'm dealing with energies that cannot be controlled and are not up to me. And the only thing that is up to me is to perceive it and how I perceive it. Because now I'm dealing with the truth. I'm dealing with the hard truth. And sometimes that is very unbelievably like crazy, like I can't believe that's the truth. And I've thought so many different ways about myself and reality and other people because I've relied on this perception, but now it's completely broken because the truth came in and said, hey, that's not how this works, or that's not who you are. That's not what the world is. And that's not how God works. So just reflecting on my approach towards faith. in general, because I don't have like a specific faith. I want to learn all different types of faith so I can help bring people together through different languages of those faiths and of those walks of life.
I fuck with that too.
Rather than just, I don't like limiting myself just to one thing.
Dude, build your own pantheon.
Yes. Thank you.
I work with gods from whatever the fuck I want to. I like Anubis. I like fucking God. I like the word God now. I'm kind of reclaiming that.
Dog backwards. The Lord is my shepherd.
Amen, dude. He's probably a German shepherd.
German shepherd walking on water.
Amen.
Yeah.
You know what else walks on water?
Fish.
Todd Winston Montgomery.
That's facts.
Bro goes hard, dude.
Shout out to Winston.
He's a
Todd Winston Montgomery the third.
So I know you have somewhere to be.
Yes.
What do you think Winston's learning right now? What do you think he learned?
Stillness, obviously. He hasn't moved.
Bro's locked in.
Yeah, he is locked in. He's looking at me very hard. He was like, I wish you would do something. So if anything, I'm on the defensive right now.
Yeah, I feel you.
And he's just super still. He's like, nobody can fuck with me right now. It's up to you. And then I honestly don't want to fuck with him at all. If anything, like, he owns the place.
So what do you think he learned from our conversation?
Well, his breathing seems fine. I think he needs a vacation. I think he needs a retreat. I think that's what it is. He's been in this house for a while, and I understand he's the leader of the household, but
I think you're projecting. I think you're the leader of the household and you need a vacation.
Possibly. I don't think he's learned everything. I think he already knows everything that we're talking about.
That's fucking valid.
Yeah.
He is a duck.
That's true.
You know, they quack and shit. They don't need us.
Yeah. He's just made out of glass, so I don't know if he's equipped with quacks at all.
Not yet.
To wrap it up, that's kind of the lesson that I've been learning is just allowing myself to be a vessel, honestly. And what that looks like is something I can't control. I just have to be at mercy of that. And whatever that looks like, I'm excited to see, but I can't get into the way. I can't get in the way of it. Just like I can't get in the way of the music. I can't get in the way of the painting. Let the painting paint itself through me.
To end, I did DMT many years ago, and I sent a text when I was on DMT. I don't remember doing it. Talking about letting things move through you. This is what moved through me. The world is a grand illusion, a giant painting. You are the paint and the painter. There's no such thing as too much or too little, only what you choose to paint.
You know what the ultimate blessing is for an artist in a painting itself? The open canvas.
And so we're going to open the canvas of time back up to you. Thanks for spending your time listening to us.
Of course.
And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Man, it was my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So one last thing to end it all off. Where can we find you? How can we learn more about what you do? And also, what are some upcoming events that you have going on? Whether it's personal training, breath exposure, what was the other thing? You took a retreat with them.
Oh, not dead yet.
Not dead yet. Yes.
Yeah. They're their own entity.
Yes.
I recommend you check it out if you're interested.
Bless you.
Thanks, Houston.
Appreciate it.
We don't have a problem. You can find me usually on Instagram, Cody Decker _ Cody _ Decker _. So much grammar.
Yes. A lot of grammar.
I'm training folks at Edge Fitness in Shrewsbury, training people at RFT and off Kings Highway in McCree. You can find Breath and Exposure at that same gym off Kings Highway in McCree.
Links will be in the bio.
There's links in the bio. Click the damn link.
Not even in the bio, the description. That's better.
Terminology.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Feel free to find me. Reach out. Appreciate y'all coming through. And I'm just having a good time. So feel free to come learn with me.
For sure, man. For sure. I'll be there after I get back from my vacation. So I'll be gone next Wednesday to the following Wednesday.
So come see me on the 18th.
Would that be a Saturday?
Sunday?
That would work perfect because I think I'm going to Kansas City that weekend. I'll be back on Saturday night. So
let's get it.
Boom. Let's make it happen, ladies and gentlemen. But to close it out, like always, Mind is Mine is a vessel in itself to help transcend consciousness worldwide, influencing people through creativity, through conversations like these, exchanging ideas, through education, learning, knowledge, wisdom. Take your pick. But the main point is that transcending consciousness can help the awareness of ourselves and what's happening around us. Like we said earlier, it's helping identify not only the emotions that we're feeling, but why those emotions actually pop up, why these certain circumstances and experiences pop up in our lives and what they are teaching us. And everything that we do in our life and everything that happens to us and everything that is working through us and working for us is to help transcend consciousness worldwide, starting with us, the individual, and soon to spread within the collective. And with that, I say, stay strong, stay positive, do what benefits you, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Hey, thank you for staying after the YouTube video. Be sure to like, comment. It's important to share your voice and subscribe to my channel. There should be a video on the screen. If not, then there's something wrong. But follow me on social media, Instagram, X, whatever it may be. Also, check out my blog in the description box below. Other than that, my name is Houston. I hope you have a great day. Namaste.